Ton Greten is there. Ton, are you there?
Yes, Sean, I'm there,
Are you?
and nice to see you.
Good to
And
see you too.
will be a nice podcast.
Yeah, are you enthusiastic? I mean, I was trying to get an interview with Holger for a while. He's a very busy man. So I'm enthusiastic that we have him today. I prepared some questions. I'm sure you have some too. But before we
Yes.
do that, are you okay if I read a little bit of an intro that I have? And so I say welcome to another episode of the Dance Gems. Today we have a very special guest, a man whose life has been an ode to the movement and the beauty of dance. He's a world and European champion in Latin American competitive dance sport, seriously true. He's also a dance educator, he's an inventor, a business entrepreneur, and a mentor, and probably a few things more that I cannot mention right now, but he will tell that about himself as well. I think he's a true embodiment of the phrase mind over body, but he sometimes also say body over mind, so we'll find that out too. He is the founder of the Nitsche Dance Academy and the Nitsche Dance Teacher Academy. He's also a creator of the educational dance methods, a developer of products aimed at enhancing our understanding of movement, rhythm, and body dynamics. But above all, he's a passionate lover of dance. So please welcome Mr. Holger Nitsche. Welcome, Holger. There you are.
Hello, nice to see you both. Hello, Sean. Hello, Tom. How are you doing?
We're doing
Yes.
good. There was so much to tell if about you that I couldn't cramp it into. But I hope I did right to the little intro that I gave.
You did it fantastically.
Okay?
Yes.
Good.
Sounds fantastic, Sean.
It sounds
But it is
fantastic.
also fantastic.
Yeah, one of the things, Holger, and besides that, of course, we want to know how you are and that we are happy in your show. One of the things that jumped out of me is the word holistic, and believed. And the reason why I picked that word is that is actually how Ton and I started to connect really well. And that is also around that word holistic. So both Ton and I believe with our dance jam that everything is a holistic thing. Sometimes we break it so apart that it becomes little boxes instead of putting it together. And I had that same feeling with you too. Uh, Ton, Holger, what do you think about that as a starting point?
Is this question to me or to Tom?
Oh, could be the both, but let's start with you,
Tom,
Holger.
Tom, maybe Tom, you can start.
No. We start with our guest, it's Holger. So
Okay, thanks.
yes, you are the guest, so we want to hear your opinion.
Holistic is a very important word for me because in the end, I call it, when I explain to my couples always, I say the rainbow colors, and the holistic color is the white color in the end, which includes all the colors. But basically, you need to understand each of the colors to understand the holistic color, the white one. So holistic is for me important in the sense of that in the end, basically you understand the connection between the things. To understand them, as we all know, we very often have to go deep into the individual parts, but in the end it's important also to make it clear for everybody that there is a belonging of everything. Everything belongs together, and there is a need of belonging and an understanding of belonging, and it's a very, very, very important part in my learning and in my teaching to bring things together. You hear me?
Yeah, we had a little delay in the sound, but it's all good now. It's all. What about you, Ton? I like that
The
explanation.
holistic,
Yeah.
yes, I learned that word from you, Sean, many years ago through your book, what I've read, sorry. Um, yeah, very interesting because the color spectrum, in my perspective, is the blue, the red, and the yellow, and all three the colors. So the blue is, in my book, the form, the yellow is the dynamic, and the red is the expression. And we spoke in our last podcast about expression and the elements from it. And this color, this mixture of the basic colors, the primary colors gives in the painting world gives black at the end, and in the digital world it gives white. So all the colors of the rainbow gives at the end white then. And very interesting because you need all these colors. And we spoke also in the expression about it. Um, the art, every human being is how you can say one person in the world is so unique, but we get all this input from the outside, and our brain makes some connections, and if you see the connections, it get holistic, and when it's get holistic, it means all this connection need each other. Like I need you, Holger need me, I need Holger. So, and when we understand each language, it gets holistic. So we will understand each other. It's how I see it like that.
Cool.
I
Cool.
already love it. I already love it because it gets very philosophical already in the beginning. And you know, my name is very connected to the
I know. I
philosophy.
know that.
so
Your
so
name.
basically,
You
so
know.
basically,
Yeah.
probably the big Friedrich left a little bit on my side and gave me a little bit of
I
this idea too,
I
which I
think so.
love.
Is there a lineage, or is it just the same name?
What do
Nitsche.
you mean with the lineage? I don't
Lineage is
understand it.
like there is Friedrich really family of you?
Well, it's a funny thing, Sean, because when people ask me, I like to do the joke that there is.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
if people ask me about this famous name, I say, well, I'm connected to this person many years ago. And then, you know, people, interesting how they look in my face, because in the beginning they may give me a little smile and they say like, no, 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 no. And then I just keep on playing with them a little longer.
Yeah.
And I just say, I just lay after a period
Hmm.
of time, we left the E and we left the Z in the name. So it left over
Yeah.
Nitsche. But I'm
Yeah.
connected. And then I leave them in doubt, you know?
Cool. Cool. Well, my connection with holistic is come definitely from the body and mind, and the mind and the body, and there are of course other connections of holism too. But in fact, there is no difference between body and mind, and you write it so nicely as well. Both you, Tom, and Holger, it's just all a different part of the same mesh, as we say here in English and in the US. It makes it sometimes a little bit easier to say that I'm a mind coach, and then Holger is a body coach. But in fact, that would not do right to you to call you only a body coach, and it would do not right to me if call me only a mind coach. So it is always a holistic approach. Cool. We want to know you a little bit better, as if we did not know you at all, of course. But let's do that. So, Holger, you have excelled in many different domains, from Latin American competitive dance sport all the way up to business now and entrepreneurship. Um, do you think that dance has shaped your approach to these different fields? And how is that?
I mean, for sure, dance and the experience with dancing and all the life I did with dancing have shaped totally my way of living today and my beliefs. I think my character have always been as it has been from the beginning, but the dancing way and to get to a certain aim in the dance world have made me even go deeper to shape my character. My character is that I'm a person who needs to be free to go many ways. If you put me into a very limited box, I'm getting very, very sad and I'm getting very, very small, because I had from childhood on a mind which was exploring in many ways, maybe not always to the happiness of my parents, because when I started one thing, I wanted to do another thing. And sometimes it was back to the money in the purse. They didn't have to give me all the possibilities I wanted to do. But when I look back what I did at same times, it's sometimes unbelievable for me to understand that I could do that, because I was studying in university while I'm competing with the competitors in the world final. And because I thought one study is not enough, I made even two studies at the same time. So I was studying economics and sports at the same time, competing with the best dancers in dancing. Until my teachers at one stage said to me, "You have to stop that now, because now comes the point where you have to concentrate on one thing." That was very hard for me. Very, very hard, because I always felt I never wanted to be limited to one thing, or I wanted only to be in one thing. I wanted to have this open possibility to do many things. And this is probably why, if I look into my vita back, there appears so many different roads and things. And one success story from the past is certainly the dancing. But then again, there is other stories I could tell, and because actually I was a very successful football player until 16.
Yeah, I saw that on your. I did not know that from you, but I saw that on your bio in the order the line of the things that you did, which are many. But you know that you're a footballer too. I think that's something us three, strangely enough, have in common as well. I know Ton was pretty successful in judo and also gymnastics as well. And definitely, you cannot put a box around Tom. That is, everyone knows that. I'm from just a little bit older generation, although you would not say that, of course, than you guys. So I'm a baby boomer, and I noticed that I always wanted to abide to the rules. Definitely in the beginning of my career, I wanted to abide to rules. So it hindered me in what I wanted to become. Tom, how did that work for you? Rules and regulations. Were you immediately as rebellious as you now, or like
Well,
Holger?
they are necessary. They give the structure, but what I think is you give the color to it. And if the rules are objective, then hopefully everybody could read the same. So this is with rules, but the most rules, sorry, sounds some negative in all these different dance organization, not only in the ballroom world, in this four world organization, but also in the 11 of the hip hop world organization. They use many subjective words in the rules, like a normal dance hold or normal hold, and then you ask context, and and then they say, like in the WDSF, they say everybody knows what a normal hold is, and where I can find the definition of it. Oh, John, do not so difficult. You are so difficult. So they make rules, and this is a little bit what they could improve in the dance world. But if you do too many rules again, then you we had a issue about that one, not an issue, but then you going more far from the art, and the art has no rules or very little rules. And yes, so I born totally free. So my parents give all the freedom, and this is why I have the freedom now also. This is from my when I was born. So I have it from my parents, actually, this freedom.
And you were born in the Netherlands.
Yes. Ah, yes. they 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 not so like strict like Germans.
Well, that is true. But I was born as a son of a military man, so it was all discipline and rules in my
Oh,
household. So we became, and I was not one of the you know, my other siblings. They are, you know, they were very rebellious, with some good and some positive. We have artists. We have, you know, there was a lot of drugs abuse and wild hippie parties in life, but I followed the rules until I actually came across dancing, and I approached and I met my teacher Ruud van Meij, who said, you know, you can do other things, yeah. uh, so I that was it. It was interesting to hear both your life stories, how you approach that. And Tom knows that once in a while I still am this a little bit conservative guy that wants to follow the rules,
Yes.
right? So
Yes. But
yeah,
there is also something else, Sean.
uh
It's
huh,
the dopamine in the body and the testosterone and the osteramine who makes the choice what you will make. So some people live in the now, so they are more relaxed, and some they have a lot of dopamine, and they are more creative and more on their own. So you have different, how you say,
chemistry.
things in your body, what you make, what each person makes different, how they react.
Yeah, for
And you
sure.
don't need to be a rebel to be a pioneer. You
Oh,
can be a
definitely not.
pioneer without being rebellic, you know. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
structure I believe a lot is important. Rules has a little negative touch in the word. I feel this word rules already makes me restricting. I rather would talk about a structural base for something to develop from.
Or
Rules
context.
I
Yeah,
would agree. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. Yes, I was, of course, put it a little bit in a little bit more exciting way. Most people know that I try to push the boundaries a little bit when it's necessary. But I think what it comes down to, where we three find each other, is to help other people make their own choices
Yes.
with good fundament behind it, right? Not just because on a whim, just with good choices. So that has definitely shaped this. Let's go a little bit deeper in your philosophy. I was intrigued by reading it. You know someone and you saw the website once, and then you go, but then you have to do an interview with, in this case, Mr. Holger Nitsche, and then you think, oh, let me look at that website a little bit more in depth, and I came across this. So your philosophy is very much centered around the phrase mind over body, but to my surprise, I also saw body over mind, right? And the mind over body thing is talked about, is over talked to me, if you believe me. And the other thing is under talked, and that is body over mind. So could you delve for me a little bit deeper into what this means to you? And how it informs your teaching and coaching methods, and maybe even the products that you have made, the belt, for instance.
Yes, basically the words when I tried to present myself to the outside, to the world, I tried to present my values or my three topics in the moment which are very important for me. And one thing certainly in the moment which drives me a lot is to have gone on the point that I wanted to connect more to the development of dancing in terms of the development of teachers. And this is where I found it actually, well, some people said I was very well prepared for that moment where Corona all slowed us down.
Mm-hmm.
Some people even said to me I was very lucky to do this, and I very simply said to the people it had nothing to do with luck because I was preparing for 25 years, maybe for that moment, which is called Corona now, that I'm going out with it. But actually, the Corona time made me or encouraged me to start this idea, which I had long before. So, in the topic of mind over body is more the mind in the foreground, where I say I want to give dancers and now rather teachers a fundamentation or a base to certain dance topics to understand better, to dig deeper into, and actually to give them something to read back and to understand and to discuss. We have fantastic, great experts all around the world, and I would love sometimes to read more about those experts, but some of them never took their time to write something down. And people like ourselves, we took the effort to write something down, and we know how hard it is, and we know how long time it takes basically to do that. And it was always a pleasure for me to do that. And this is why I started this idea with mind over body, which is more, yes, which is more based on giving content to teachers to dancers to read back and actually to involve the brain, and first to understand and then later to connect it to the body. While at the same time you can do it the other way around. So my second topic of body over mind puts more the body in the foreground. And nowadays, when we look in general, people have lost their relationship to their bodies very often. They don't have a real relationship to their body again. They don't feel themselves anymore.
Yep.
Physically feel themselves.
Mhm.
And this is actually where it started long ago, 2008, when my good friend Jürgen and myself, we said we wanted to give dancers some tools to feel their body. And this is where we started the project of Tone Me Up, which is a belt to feel yourself, to sense yourself, to be more aware of yourself, to do things more precisely, and to understand your body. And out of this was a long development now coming to our newest product, the Tone Me Up Pro Belt, which is basically a whole body belt, which we are actually connected not only to the dancing, we actually to connect it to all kind of sports. And we are just right now heading into the health industry. So our course will be into short time certificated to the health industry with our belt. And this is probably the biggest, how to say, the biggest personal success we could get, that we were able to bring this subject into health industry, that people, doctors, physiotherapists, and people who work with the body also as dancers and dance teachers have a tool to sense their
The
body
body.
more and
Body.
to be more aware of their body feeling. So body came into the foreground, and also this nice word of a body coach. To be very honest, when I made this word, I didn't heard it before. And when I looked in internet, of course, this word was there. I mean, I was not the inventor of the word body coach. But funny enough, I haven't heard it. Funny enough, it came into my mind that basically for this part, body coaching, it's a body
Mm.
coaching idea. So I used it, and as the word was possible to use, so I used it to express the idea that now body is in the foreground, and it's about sensing the body, and not as the other one, mind over body, first to think about what I'm doing in a
Yes.
spiritual or in a conscious way. So these two, as
Cool.
you said before, these two brings in the end the holistic part, and my body coaching part, which I have as a third part, goes even more into spiritual idea, because I have a project invented which is called Go Upright Through Life, which brings the connection between the upright body and the inner sincerity. So if my posture is in upright, and I contact with the world in an upright position, my communication to people is in another way, and it changes my inner feeling, and it changes my inner approach to things. So this is actually quite away. This third part is quite away from dancing. I have nothing
Well,
to do with dancing with that. So it's nice. I mean,
or yeah,
these three words are my
yeah,
words.
or it's actually a ton. If I may go ahead a little bit of you, because I got a little bit positively triggered by Holger's story. You both know that I do a lot of work in trauma healing for abused people. One of the things that is, by the way, is researched by a Dutch professor, Dr. van der Kolk, who lives in the US for a long time already and teaches and researches there. And we have a saying in trauma healing is the body never forgets.
Mhm.
And a lot of the things that therapists and coaches like myself do is a lot of talking. And what we forget, and that's why I'm so connected to it as a dancer, is that very often we don't have to talk if we put the body back into motion and body back into upright position, as you said. And there is incredibly trauma healing just by simple exercises like that. I'm just curious. We need to table that for another time, Holger, with you and Jurgen, because I would love to talk to you and see if that would actually help in trauma healing. Um, so that's what I wanted to say. I'm just enthusiastic, Tom, and I want love to hear your opinion about the same topic too. but body over mind is definitely something that speaks to me specifically if it comes to trauma healing. And the reason why I believe I am quote unquote successful with it is because I did not know how important it was to understand the body when you do this type of work, and until I got into it. Does that make sense for you
Very
guys? That's
much.
also, by the way, how Ton and I started to connect. And
Mhm.
my book is partly about all that, obviously. Ton, what do you think when you hear about all these things that Holger is doing?
I think we are on the same track, but in different in a different perspective. I work with the proprioception, exroception, and the interoception. And the proprioception is the body awareness. And if you are conscious about that one daily in your daily life, you improve actually your sport, your dancing, etc. Your art, your painting, your music, if you be aware of that proprioception, body awareness. And when I have in my book three things for the dancing, it's the muscle exploration. We explore the world, and the muscles maybe remember that what you did before, but when they remember it, then you have a muscle memory. And when the muscle memory is there from the exploration, so you explore the world, then something new comes out from something what exists already. Then you repeat that, it gets a muscle memory. And from there, we go to the next higher level. It would be muscle memory manipulation. So you can manipulate again that what you have done. So actually, you keep the structure, but you color it slight different with your movements, your dynamic with your body parts, and then the whole process starts again from new. But to get there, the most beautiful thing is to be conscious of your body two, three, four, five, six times a day to remember what at that moment in the now the body parts will do, how you take the keys or how I take my pen, to feel the connection from my body parts with the other body parts, and then the coordination of the body parts who are moving and not as moving. This is very interesting. Then it's more mind over body because you're steering that body. And there comes a certain time when you practice this a lot, it gets an the body will do something automatically. But I'm for meaning when you dance, it's an art form. You always choose at that moment from your conscious what your body will do in the dancing. In the normal world, I forget this sometimes. But the body, it's what you said, both of it, it will not forget. So it will remember things, but and you can work also from the body and not think at all, and then try to explore that's also nice. But open that box and you have only two things as a human being: it's your body and it's your mind, and the rest it's external. And they try, mostly the television, other people try to get influence on that, and I try to release that and to take it free and make my own choice in the structure. Long story, sorry guys.
That's okay. That's okay. We're just a bunch of philosophers here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can do a whole podcast, and maybe we should organize that once. It's that's a whole body and mind. There's so much talk about it, but if I just let me interject a little bit more from a spiritual point of view, because that's where Holger was going to. But let me interject it as here, right? Yeah, we can talk about we are, some people say, oh, we are spiritual beings in a human body, and we're not humans at all. To be honest, I think that's a lot of BS. sorry for all the religious teachers out there. We are simply here in the body as we are today. And no one can truly point out where your mind is. We typically point to our brains as the center of our thinking. But that still doesn't define what the mind is. So why can we not accept that the body and mind is whole as it is, and we are simply here on this earth? Maybe we go to heaven or paradise. Maybe we go even to hell. That could all be true, right? But we are here, and are we interconnected or not? That's an interesting thing. I think we proved already today in the podcast that we are. But I think we as dance teachers are, we can be very spiritual and all that kind of stuff, but we sometimes so nicely grounded in that one rhythm sound that a Latin drum can make us, and we can spend hours to find that perfect connection with that one sound. It cannot be more than in the now, and it has nothing to do with all the religious talk, and has nothing to do with spiritual talk. Now for us meaning feeling our body and mind truly in the moment as I speak right now. That's my, I have to
Losing yourself, losing
losing
yourself.
yourself in it. I love that even more. Yeah, now you can find yourself at the same place where you lose yourself. I think that was Nietzsche who said that at some point.
I'm
But I have to look that
a,
up. I have to look that up. But you find
I'm
yourself where you lose yourself. Yes.
I'm also think that sounds are more in the future, and you have to guess where the sounds will come.
Okay. Let's let that way. It's getting exciting now. What do you think? Sound. It all says sound is in the future.
And you guess where the sounds will come. If you not know the sounds before, you cannot react on it. So when you know them before, you can react on it. But still, when you react on it, you always later. Then when the sounds happen, it takes some maybe a little bit later. It will arrive to your ears and
Yeah.
then to your brain, and then you can feel something and think about it, and then you can do something with it.
Sounds is a nice bridge, because sounds basically also connects all of us. Because
Yeah.
all our work, and I also know your work, because we have been connecting for a long time, Ton, together with the sounds, the project of sounds. You did the idea of sounds with our rhythmicality books. We did. And the sounds for me was always, when I refer it now to dancing, was always very important. A body needed always to have a sound for me. If a body is empty and only based on a mechanical message, the body were empty or are empty for me. But the moment the dancer has an idea of how the body sounds, then it becomes interesting, then it becomes alive. And if I refer to our books and idea of rhythmicality, this was the whole idea of doing, to actually make people understand what are typical sounds in the typical dances. This was the base of our books and the idea. Yeah. And if you read, yes, Ton, if you read the back, you can see stop counting and feel the rhythm. This is the slogan in the back. Stop, yeah, you have it in German. Verlerne zu zählen und spüre den Rhythmus. That's the German version. Stop counting and feel the rhythm. When we had this idea in the beginning, we knew that we will be provocating to the dance teachers and to the dance world, because the dance world and the dance teachers love to count. And we're
Well,
not saying you should.
I think it's not provocated. I think there is you hit it on the point.
Yeah, we wanted to make people aware that there is another way. Actually, the idea of our books was the idea of another way of actually coming towards dancing, because the most thing I have seen in my past, and which always didn't make me happy, is that people talking about a movement and a figure or something, and in the end they put on some music, and I say, how can I relate this, what I just learned, to some music which is played? So this never satisfied me, because I said to myself, I want to relate to that moment in time, to that music played. So the basic idea was, can we not teach people in another way? Can we not first educate them of how typical characteristic music sounds where we dance to? So
Mm-hmm.
there is a learning. Now we're coming back to rules and to structure. There is a learning process in front. Learn to be the slave of the rhythm before the rhythm becomes your slave. I first need to understand the certain way how music plays to actually understand what music tells me and what the rhythm tells me. And then later I interact with my own feeling and my knowledge. Now we have mind over body again of the knowledge of the music, but body over mind in the moment when I release that feeling inside the music. But the knowledge needs to be there. If the knowledge is not there, we have a lot of great, sometimes talented people who just dance, but not knowing what's happening. And as we are teachers, we know that it is a very important part to make people to understand what's happening. Hmm? And the most highest level of the dancers, in my opinion, is the intelligent dancers. We have a natural talent, a natural movement. Then we have a discipline in between where we need to learn. And afterwards, I have a disciplined natural movement or a disciplined, talented natural movement, which is another level because suddenly you see an intelligent way of moving by the awareness of knowledge of music and by the perception and by the feeling of the moment. That's the highest score.
Yeah, I love this part. I mean, there's so many aspects that we can still, add to this. But I'm also, have a, a little eye on the clock as well. Yeah, so we didn't even talk about, things that we love like Latin dancing and competitive dancing and all that kind of stuff. But I'm totally with you and Ton, of course, and Ton knows this because he knows me pretty well. But yeah, a lot of people they do let's learn the cha cha cha, and then they explain some steps, and then let's now try the music, which is like what? And then but and then forgive me if I say this a little bit bluntly, but yeah, that I always play a lot of type of cha chas and say, okay, hey, now let's do some movements, and they said no, there's no steps, there is just what do you feel. I cannot define what you feel, and then because otherwise it becomes the fine step, and that in commercial dance studios is not of course always appreciated for also good reasons. Let's discuss that in another time why that is. It's not immediately a comment, right? um, but yeah, that's the interesting thing. Do you know, by the way, that sound has not truly a particle, right? Like light has a photon, right? But particle is a wave, so it hits us differently than light, and that's why we have this different connection with sound always, whether you're a dancer or not, doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything, is there anything, Holger, and we definitely, Ton, I think you agree, we are going to invite Mr. Holger back and we're going to talk about competitive dancing. We talk about your incredible career, where in 1 year you already made the finals, and I think you even became a U champion already after 1 year of competitive dancing. I think that is true, right? You became not only European, but you became also world champion as an amateur, and then suddenly you stopped. And I also wanted why I followed you as a dancer a lot. We have all this question, but is there anything we should have asked you now that you can answer in, let's say, less than a minute?
Don't put too much pressure on it,
No
Sean.
pressure.
Let him go.
You ask your own question and you answer it in 1 minute.
Well, I rather prefer maybe there is something you still want to know for me, because if you ask me a question to talk about something, there are so many things I love to talk with you about. So I
Okay.
wouldn't even know. I would need more than a minute to choose.
Yeah.
No, no,
Okay.
no.
Tom,
I have a question for you.
go
So
ahead.
actually, you learned to dance as a probably how old you was when you started with dancing, Holger?
Well, I started as Sean already mentioned. I went into the dance school with 16 and a half year.
No, that's perfect. Uh,
First step,
you-
not the competitive. First step in the
no, no,
dance
no.
school.
Yes, yes. But then you go to a competition. after
to compete.
the social, and then after the competition, you dance in the ballroom world. This is you start as an amateur in the lowest class, then you go through the classes, then you come to a point in that dance form you
It's
can
a
be
minute, Ton.
professional.
Ton, it's a minute.
Yes, a minute, I know. Then you get professional, and then you get a teacher, a coach, a trainer, and so, but how you felt this grow from little child or from 16 years old till the age what you have now?
How I felt that?
Your journey, yes, your journey. You made a journey, and this journey, as a human being, you developed. And before they tried maybe to make a follower from you, and now you create your own ideas about that fundament. So I wanted to know this process now, what you are developing now. And so it's probably not to answer in 1 minute, but maybe it could be short. How you feel this process as a young child till now? Till now, that
Well,
would be my question.
I can answer it very, very shortly. You will not be satisfied the way what I answer now, but I said it felt like 1 second.
Yeah.
It felt like 1 second. This was a long journey, but it felt like it was yesterday. I started yesterday and I'm here today. You know why it felt so shortly? Because I always put all my love and 150% in every minute what I did. And each step which happened was meant to be to happen. And each step gave me an opportunity for developing. The things I do
Because you have
today,
so
the
much
thing,
passion and love for this form, this art.
exactly, and I think this is what is we all have together. This love of passion is why we are in our age are still here and talking about it and having a smile in our face and happy and are passionable, and we're doing it since 35, 40 years right now if I look back, and we still have the love inside. And I think this is what it brings it all together. The love for dancing inside never stopped me over my knee problems or hurting my back or whatever. I always say I do it because I love it, and
Yes.
I was able to explore in this development so many different things, meeting so many
Yes.
people from different ways of business and whatever, and I'm very grateful for.
Yes, what I want to tell to the listeners is your love and passion for it,
Yes,
and
and
the
it
fun
still
what you have
burns.
from it.
It still burns. I have a nice saying students are no barrels to be filled, there are fires to be lightened. It's a saying from Waldo Emerson. And I love this sentence because it is what it is all about. If I see the fire in the eyes of my students, I know I did a good job. I don't want to fill any barrels. I don't want to do this again when I see empty faces and empty eyes. I want to see fire. And you know what? When I see fire, I'm fired. I'm fired up because I love to see that fire in these people, because it remembers me from the day number one, how I had this
Ye-
fire in my eyes and in my body, and that kept me going till today.
Yes, and this you can see also in your work, and this is the beauty of it. And when you see dancers, that's maybe a judgment. You see most of the dance are not that fun, that passion.
Yeah,
And if you can
yeah.
give that through your experience, what you have get in your backpack or in your luggage, and can this bring to them and open the doors for them, then you reach a lot. Yes, I'm agree
So
totally.
we three basically we are life coaches for all those people. I'm a life coach teaching dancing, even if I don't really know too much about coaching. I mean, Sean would has much more background in this direction. But you know what? I learned still to coach and to guide people over all those years, and I felt when I can help them to bring out this fire and this passion, and this is my biggest love I share with them, that I see. And my biggest compliment for my students are always when they say, I go out of your lesson and I'm highly motivated every time I go out of your lesson. This is my biggest compliment.
Cool. Yeah. No, I love it. I mean, that's good. It shows in your work. By the way, I did some of your classes, Holger. It shows it there, and we have always seen it in your dancing. Um, it was yeah, for your most famous dancing, of course, with Charlotte, but even before that you could already see that. Fortunately, I've never seen you playing soccer. I mean, the Netherlands, we are definitely the better soccer playing country over yours country. We all know that. We had to bring that in.
And I'm a passionate guitar player. You didn't know
Oh
even
my
either.
gosh, I did not know that either. So many things, people, to talk about. It was so good to have you on the show. There are so many more
Thank you.
topics that we can talk about. So, if you
Fantastic.
let us, we'll definitely invite you a few more times, even back into the show. It was a pleasure to meet you, Holger. Always a pleasure to work with you, Tom, on our show, the Dance Gems. We already say goodbye to Holger, and then and then I say, Tom. Oh, sorry. Holger, that went too fast. I want to give you the opportunity to say goodbye. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your invitation. It was lovely to speak with you. Thank you for your time you took and for your questions. And I hope I could give people a little bit more insight into my personality and into my past. And I'm very delighted to join you again in the future.
All right. All
Yes,
right. Thank
yes,
you so much.
and don't forget, listeners, you can find him. He has 2 or 3 websites,
Yes.
and
Well,
he has also his social media. So look for him if
yeah.
you're really interested in Holger. So find his pages and his so you can find him in the digital world.
Yeah, well,
Thank
well,
you very
we put holgernitsche.com in the show notes. So that's the website, www.holgernitsche.com. We'll put it right there, of course, and I'll put all the information in what we call the show notes. With this, we are going to say goodbye to you. This was Dancing to the Rhythm of Success with Holger Nitsche, and of course, as always, with the Dance Jam with myself and Ton Greten. And with that, we say goodbye to you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.